Fundamental of criminal investigation and intelligence. Investigation was derived from the Latin word investigare or investigatus, which means to trace or track. It may have been derived also from vestigium, another Latin word which means footprint. This is the act or process of carefully inquiry or research, and defined by Webster's as the systematic examination of some scientific detail or question, whether by experiment or mathematical treatment. Criminal investigation, the art and science that deals with the identity and location of the offender as well as providing evidence of his guilt in criminal proceedings. The collection of facts, truth, proof, and realities are to accomplish the threefold aims and phases or objectives. First one, to identify the guilty party, to locate the whereabouts of the offended party, to provide evidence of his guilt. Criminal investigator, a public safety officer who is tasked to conduct the investigation of all criminal cases as provided for and embodied under the revised penal code or criminal law, which are criminal in natures. These are well-trained, disciplined, and experienced professionals in the field of criminal investigation, duties, and responsibilities. Training. The National Forensic Science Training Institute, under the PPSC, is an institution that trains uniformed personnel of the PNP to become a certified investigator. Qualities of a good investigator: perseverance, determination, intelligence, honest, understanding of the people and environment, and keen observer or masigasig. 6 cardinal points of investigation. First, what specific offense has been committed, who committed the offense, where the offense was committed, when it was committed, why it was committed, and how the offense was committed. Goals of criminal investigation or crime investigation: determine if a crime has been committed, legally obtain information and evidence to identify the persons responsible, arrest the suspect, recover the stolen property, present the best possible case to the prosecutor. 3 tools or the 3 I's. Information, the knowledge or data gathered by the investigator from the records and persons. Interview or interrogation, the art of questioning whether casual or skillful. Instrumentation, scientific examination of real evidence. Application of instruments and methods of physical science in detecting crime. Source of information: regular source acquired from open source records and files. Cultivated source furnished by informants or informer. Grapevine source coming from underworld characters such as prisoners or criminals. Informer, the difference between informer and informant. Informer, the one who furnish information to the investigator, mainly for purpose of reward or remuneration. Informant provides information to the prober voluntarily without any consideration. Types of informant: anonymous, the one who provides information to law enforcement while refusing to identify him or herself. Rival elimination informant gives information to eliminate the rival person or gang due to the competition or other motives such as revenge. False informant reveals information of no value, appears to be on the side of the law, and for throwing out the suspicion from himself or from his gang or associates. Frightened informant: he may be one of the lesser gang member who runs to the police when his gang mates are about to be put in a dangerous situation. self-aggregating informant. This kind of informant moves around the center of criminal groups or syndicate and delight in surprising the police about bits, minutes, records of information. Mercenary informant sells information. He or she could be one of the members of the syndicate. Double cross information. Confess information as an excuse to talk to the police in order to get more information from them more than he gives. Woman informant. She could be an associate to the syndicate. She uses her body as charm, beauty to obtain more information. Incidental informant. Individuals who furnish information with no intention of repeating his service or furnishing information or continuing basis. Casual information or informant. Individuals who by social or professional position possesses or has access to information to the investigation unit in response to a specific request of his own initiative. Automatic informant, those who by virtue of their official position are expected or obliged to furnish information. Recruited informant, individuals that are selected, trained, and utilized as continuous and covert sources. Here are the motives of informant. We have 9. Number 1, vanity, civic-mindedness, fear, repentance, avoidance of punishment, competition, revenge, jealousy, remuneration, and the art of obtaining information. First one, interview. Simple inquiry or conversation type elicitation of information from willing victims or witnesses. Here is a basic assumption. Nobody has to talk to law enforcers. No law compels a person to talk to the police if he does not want to. Therefore, people will have to be persuaded always, which legal and ethical limits to talk to law enforcer then makes interviewing an art. The ironic format of interview. Identify. Identify. Prior to the commencement of an interview, the investigator should identify himself to the subject. Report. It is good to get the positive feeling of the subject towards the investigators. Opening statements. The investigator must have to indicate why the subject is being contained or being contracted. Narration. The witness should be allowed to tell all he knows or she knows with little interruptions from the investigators. Inquiry. After all information have been given by the subject, that is the time for the investigator to question. Conclusion. Lastly, after the interview, it is but proper to close the interview with utmost courtesy. The golden rule. Never conduct or let anyone conduct an interview if the interviewer has not gone to the crime scene. The questioning will lead wayward. At the interview, who had not seen personally the crime scene, and he will not be in a position to distinguish half-truths exaggerated for falsehood from the answer of the person being interviewed. Rules to follow when conducting an interview. One question at a time. Simplicity of the questions. Saving faces. Positive attitude. Avoid close-ended questions. Avoid implied, indirect, roundabout answers. Interrogation. The skillful questioning of a hostile person suspecting of having committed an offense, or a person who is reluctant to make a full disclosure of information in his possession. which is permitted to be to the investigation. Purpose and objectives of interrogation: obtain valuable facts, eliminate the innocent, identify the guilt party, and obtain confession. Modern techniques. Modern techniques. Emotional appeal. Places the subject in a proper frame of mind. Sympathetic appeal. The subject may feel the need for sympathy or friendship when he is apparently in trouble. Gesture of friendship may win his cooperation. Kindness. The simplest technique is to assume that the suspect will confess if he is treated nicely or in a friendly manner. Shifting the blame. The interrogator makes clear his belief that the subject is obviously not the sort of person who usually gets mixed up in a crime like this. The interrogator could tell from the start that he was not dealing with a fellow who is a criminal by nature and choice dumps the blame to someone. Bluff on a split pair. This is applicable when there are more than one suspect. The suspects are separated and one is informed that other has talk. Matt and Jeff. Two agents are employed. Matt, the relentless investigator, he is not going to waste any time because he knows the subject is guilty, while Jeff on the other hand is obviously a kind-hearted man. Pretense of physical evidence. The investigator may pretend that certain physical evidence has found by laboratory experts against him. Jolting may be applied to calm and nervous subjects. Extenuation is the investigator indicates he does not consider his subject indiscretion a grave offense. The golden rule of interrogation: make him admit something, no matter how small or trivial. Usually the first admission will lead to another. In securing the first admission is the biggest stumbling block in dealing with tough subjects or suspects. That's all, sir. Thank you.